seen people time travel, but have you ever seen best friends time travel together? Two besties arrive in ancient times to snag some hot guys. One is quirky and eccentric. Right after time traveling, she runs into a VIP. Faced with a cabinet threat from the man, she accidentally undoes his belt. The other is a cool and elegant beauty. Back in modern times, she came from a martial arts family, capable of taking on 10 strong men at once. Yet she's transmigrated into the runaway princess consort of a cunning prince. Just an hour ago, the female lead, Xiao Wan, and her best friend, Su Su, went to the mountaintop to watch the meteor shower, but encountered a suicidal man. To save him, all three fell down the cliff together, falling into a swirling vortex of stars. When Xiao Wan opened her eyes again, it was because her best friend, Su Su, was waking her up. Both of them were in strange attire. After the initial shock, they realized they had time traveled together. Thinking that if that jerk hadn't jumped, they wouldn't have time traveled, Xiao Wan angrily went to find him. Opening the door, she saw a jerk drinking downstairs. Without a word, she snatched the wine bowl. The jerk turned his head, and before he could speak, he got a face full of wine. Xiao Wan stomped onto the table, ready to curse him out. But when she got a clear look at the man's face, she realized she had the wrong person. Looking at the shocked expressions of the 20 or so bodyguard around them, she instantly realized she seemed to have offended someone important. The man stared down condescendingly at this little pipsqueak. Seeing her life flash before her eyes, Xiao Wan hurriedly called out. Her best friend, Su Su, made a grand entrance, kicking over two people. While beating them up, she told Xiao Wan to run. But where could Xiao Wan escape to? She had clearly been targeted by the jerk. She tried acting cute, but the man simply grabbed her with one hand and effortlessly threw her over his shoulder, carrying her away. She desperately struggled and yelled for her best friend to save her. But Su Su was currently surrounded and under attack, with no time to worry about her. Just like that, she was carried into a room. Then the jerk tossed her onto the floor. Her, but nearly split in two. The man, seemingly unfazed, grabbed the bowl, begging for mercy, then picked her up again with one hand. He swung his fist at her. Xiao Wan closed her eyes, resigned to her fate. But the expected pain didn't come. Instead, there were soft lips. Xiao Wan's mind went blank. A faint blush crept on her cheeks. When she came to her senses, she pushed him away. That was her first kiss. Xiao Wan wanted to get away from this lunatic. But the man grabbed her. Why? Why did you marry someone else? The man's eyes were misty, like a wounded animal. It seemed he was drunk. Seeing no way to escape, Xiao Wan suddenly had an idea. I'm Pao Jiao. Follow me for the next exciting episode. The girl and her best friend time traveled to ancient times together. One is a vibrant and energetic girl, passionate and daring, but impulsive. The other is a cool and elegant girl, highly skilled in martial arts and intelligent. When the energetic girl meets the hot-headed young man, when the cool princess consort meets the cunning prince, what kind of sparks will fly? Xiao wanted just time traveled when she was caught by a strange man. Without a word, he carried her into a room and rudely threw her on the floor. He even kissed her without warning. It turned out the man mistook Xiao Wan for the sweetheart who had left him. Xiao Wan had a sudden inspiration. She said, "You want to know why I married someone else? Then let go of me immediately and sit nicely on the bed." The man obediently followed her instructions, but he still looked at her warily. Seeing that she was about to slip away, he grabbed her by the waist and pulled her back, pinning her down. In her panic, Xiao Wan grabbed at something, accidentally pulling off his belt. This position, this proximity, made Xiao Wan's face flush involuntarily. The man said accusingly, "You're lying to me." Xiao Wan gave an awkward smile. The next second, the man's face moved closer and closer. Seeing the unconcealed aggression in his eyes, Xiao Wan panicked. She hurriedly asked, "What do you want?" Upon hearing the man whisper 3 words, "I want you," Xiao Wan's eyes widened. She quickly grabbed a nearby pillow and smacked him with it. The man's unfinished words, "Let me sleep," were drowned out by the sound of the impact. He instantly went limp, either knocked unconscious or overcome by the alcohol. He lay on the ground and began to snore. Xiao Wan successfully escaped and hurried out to find her best friend, Su Su. However, she saw the previously menacing bodyguards being arrested by a group of soldiers. While she was puzzled, Su Su appeared and quietly pulled her into a corner. The two were conspiring to leave when they heard a gentle voice. "What? Haven't you played enough?" Xiao Wan peeked out. The newcomer was tall, handsome, and had an extraordinary air. He continued, "My princess consort seems to be enjoying herself a little too much." Running out without a word, I was truly worried. Xiaowan was practically ecstatic. "Princess consort? Oh my god, I've time traveled and become a princess consort." Her mind was already racing. Wait, handsome, rich, and seemingly affectionate. And most importantly, I don't have to worry about that guy seeking revenge anymore. At that moment, the man, presumably the prince, extended his hand towards them. "My princess consort, why aren't you speaking?" Xiaowan was inwardly screaming, "Oh my, is he this forward?" However, the next second, the prince gently caressed Su Su's cheek. "Stop hiding from me, okay?" Xiaowan's jaw almost dropped. Okay, so Su Su is the princess consort. However, the aloof Su Su wasn't swayed by good looks. She slapped his hand away and said fiercely, "Hands off, I don't know you." The prince looked hurt. "S you Su, scolding me, you scolding me." This completely struck a chord with Xiaowan. OMG, this couple is too cute. What's it like to time travel to ancient times with your best friend, especially when your best friend is the runaway princess consort of a handsome prince? Xiaowan, a sucker for good looks, was extremely envious of her best friend status, especially since the prince seemed to be a bit of a softie. But her best friend was completely oblivious. She said coldly, "First, my name is Tang Su, not Su Su. Second, I don't know you at all." Then, she grabbed Xiaowan's hand. "Wanzi, let's go." The guards instinctively blocked their path, awkwardly looking to their prince for instructions. Since the princess consort wants to leave, let her be. Hearing this, the two quickly left. The prince behind them smiled slyly. "My princess consort, you will be back." The two friends, hand in hand, arrived at a restaurant, ready to sample some ancient cuisine. However, the owner respectfully ushered them out. "Oh, princess consort, this humble establishment can't afford to serve you. We dare not entertain you." After sending them out, he quickly closed the doors. He even closed up shop for the day. If restaurants wouldn't serve them, maybe street vendors would. So, Su Su found an elderly gentleman and asked him where she could find some food stalls. However, upon seeing her face, the old man was so frightened he lost a tooth. Suddenly no longer lame, he scooped up his grandson and ran away as fast as his legs could carry him. It turned out the prince had posted wanted posters of the princess consort all over the city gates. Anyone who harbored her would be executed. So, not even a beggar dared to speak to them. To avoid starving to death on the streets, the two dejectedly returned to the prince's manor. Su Su took on the role of the princess consort, while Xiaowan claimed to be her maid. Fortunately, the prince had been summoned to the imperial palace and was away. The two managed to learn some basic information about the princess consort. Her real name was Tang Su Su. Although she was a commoner with no parents, Prince Bai Muji had fallen in love with her at first sight. But she was spoiled and ran away on their wedding night. Xiaowan said carelessly, the dignified 14th prince left alone on his wedding night. But that day, he didn't seem angry at all. He must be deeply in love with Tang Su Su. Thinking of the gentle and refined man, Su Su felt that it was all a facade. Deeply in love? I doubt it. Thinking of this, Xiaowan heard her best friend whisper, and besides, I heard Bai Muji isn't in good health. If he really isn't afraid of death and tries to take you on, you could knock him down in a second. Su Su scoffed he wouldn't dare. Meanwhile, at the inn, the man who had been knocked unconscious last night finally woke up. His two lackeys rushed forward to report. They told him that he had been drugged with an aphrodisiac last night. Luckily, there were no women around, otherwise his chastity would have been compromised. The man's consciousness gradually returned. He looked at his missing belt and recalled the intimate contact he had last night after getting drunk. Could he have been set up and lost his innocence? His subordinates' next words were like a bolt from the blue. That person last night was clearly a man. How could our boss be seduced by a man? The man furiously kicked the two idiots away. He slammed the door shut, remembering last night. The fact that he had been taken advantage of by a man, his rage soared. Damn sissy. I'll skin you alive. The girl and her best friend had transmigrated to ancient times together. Her friend became a princess consort, while she became a maid serving the princess. Having to play the struggling maid was bad enough, but she also had the incredibly tacky name, Xiao Chui. Xiaowan had wanted to take a bath with her friend in the manor's open-air bath. Although there were no modern showers, an ancient hot spring wasn't bad either. Unfortunately, she was a maid, and the head butler summoned her, so she had to go. Susu assumed her friend would return shortly, so she entered the pool first. The water was warm and very comfortable. Just as she was about to relax and enjoy herself, she sharply picked up the sound of footsteps. A slender figure was slowly approaching. Susu quickly grabbed a towel and wrapped it around herself, her back to the newcomer, and coldly asked, "Who is it?" "Princess consort, you're too wary." Susu was puzzled. Wasn't he supposed to be at the palace for 3 days? Why was he back early? The man extended his hand, teasing, "Princess consort," standing there dumbfounded like that. "Don't tell me you've lost your memory again and don't recognize this prince." Susu dodged his hand and curtly told him to leave. But the prince took a step closer and gently touched her shoulder. "Are you still angry with this prince? I know I shouldn't have dealt with official business on our wedding night and neglected you." Susu froze. After a moment, she turned and said, "I'm not angry." Hearing this, the prince smiled with satisfaction. He clapped his hands, and a maid presented some clothes, saying he had personally chosen them for her. He even wanted to dress her himself. Susu refused to let him take advantage of her. Every time the prince took a step closer, she took a step back. She reached for the clothes herself, but he grabbed her wrist. In the ensuing struggle, Susu slipped and almost fell. Fortunately, the prince reacted quickly and caught her around the waist. Susu strongly suspected he had done it on purpose. Glaring at him, she demanded he let go. The prince frowned. "Do you hate this prince now?" Susu answered truthfully, "Of course not." The prince smiled faintly and then leaned down to kiss her. Before his lips could touch hers, Susu quickly said, "I absolutely do." The prince froze, stunned. Susu quickly pulled away from his embrace. Bamuji, caught off guard, lost his balance and fell into the water. Do you think Susu will save him? A martial arts genius transmigrates to ancient times and becomes the doted-on consort of the prince. Just as the prince's kiss is about to land, the princess consort dodges and sends him tumbling into the water. Susuturmstolave. He deserved it. She wasn't going to save him. But strangely, the water's surface was so calm. Xiaowan had said that this guy's body wasn't very strong. If he really drowned here, she and her friend would be implicated. Thinking of this, Susu turned back and jumped into the water to save him. Sure enough, she saw the prince sunk at the bottom of the pool, motionless. Susu thought to herself, this prince is really useless. She grabbed his arm and tried to pull him up, but knew at this moment the man would suddenly open his eyes. He pulled her towards him and kissed her. Susu's eyes widened in shock. For a moment, she forgot to resist. A splash echoed across the water. The legendary Bing Jiao web novel trope. At this moment, he was actually holding his small wife with one arm. Susu cursed him for being shameless and shoved him away, running towards the shore. She thought she must be crazy to have jumped in to save him. Just then, a maid rushed in, yelling, "Oh no!" Seeing the two of them with disheveled clothes and looking disheveled, she clearly got the wrong idea. The prince smiled smugly and calmly asked what was the matter. Hearing the maid's reply, Susu was shocked. Someone had actually framed Xiaowan, saying she stole something and ran away. How could this be? Could it be that person? Susu thought of that remote madam. Actually, she was a concubine, but this concubine was the daughter of the Chengsheng. She was always trying to boss the princess consort around. Susu was worried that Xiaowan had fallen victim to her schemes. Meanwhile, Xiaowan had indeed been set up by someone from the prince's manor. The manor steward had instructed her to go to a jewelry shop and pick up a gold bracelet. He said this bracelet was extremely expensive and was commissioned by the princess dowager, the prince's mother, Susu's mother-in-law, specifically for her daughter-in-law. After picking up the bracelet, Xiaowan was knocked unconscious, and the bracelet was stolen. If that were all, it wouldn't be so bad. The truly terrifying part was yet to come. Xiaowan unexpectedly ran into that great demon who hated her with a passion. When a stoic, straight man meets a delicate white lotus, would he show mercy and tenderness, or would he be ruthless? The white lotus had locked onto her new target early that morning. Handsome, good physique, and clearly rich. Young master, today you're mine, she thought. So the white lotus began her performance. While crying for help, she threw herself towards the man's horse's hooves. The horse, startled, reared up, and she took the opportunity to fall down. This man would definitely save the damsel in distress. catching her in the most dashing way possible. Then, she would look at him like a frightened deer, her eyes full of innocent vulnerability. This trick never failed. She had never missed. The man would certainly feel guilty. And when he heard that bad guys were forcing her to repay a debt, he would obediently pay them off and tell them to get lost. At this point, the plan would be halfway to success. Then she would offer herself to him, and he would definitely, what's going on? At the crucial moment, the man's expression changed drastically upon hearing a woman's voice. His anger flared, and he even started chasing after the woman. The White Lotus quickly grabbed the man and finished her lines. My benefactor, I am yours now. I am willing to be your slave and serve you for the rest of my life. Young master, you could do anything you want of me. The simple-minded subordinate, standing nearby, secretly chuckled. Their master was terrified of being touched by women. Sure enough, the man couldn't shake her off and said with a dark expression, "Get lost." The White Lotus thought she had misheard. What? The man suddenly jumped back. "Get away from me. If you keep pestering me, I'll take back the money and personally throw you into the bridal chamber." The White Lotus immediately let go, dumbfounded, and stood frozen in place. The man galloped away on his horse. The dust kicked up, making her cough. Asterisco solbi, solbi, solbi. Asterisco where jijicho gorongi. Li Xiaoyang chased after the familiar voice. Arriving at a secluded street, he heard the voice again and, following the figure, hurried after it. In a small alley, Chaowan knocked on a door. She had finally found the mowuk she came with, but unexpectedly, someone attacked her. She watched helplessly as the princess consort's bracelet was stolen. She thought she was done for, but then Li Xiaoyang saw the two thieves fleeing in a panic. Recognizing them as accomplices, he grabbed one of them with a single hand and roared, "Tell me, where is that damn thief?" The two were completely bewildered by the question. Under the threat of the ferocious demon king, they fainted from fright. At this moment, Xiao Wan, who had been knocked unconscious, finally managed to crawl up. Seeing stars, she stared blankly ahead for 3 seconds. Upon adjusting her glasses, she saw the big demon and nearly fainted from fright. Oh my God, isn't that the pervert? Can she still escape now? The girl and her best friend had traveled to ancient times to flirt with handsome men. Her best friend was out there making a name for herself and protecting her. Inside, she was cuddling and playing with a drunken young man, coaxing and tricking him until she finally succeeded in her seduction. Afterwards, she undid his belt and ran. Before leaving, she didn't forget to leave a big hickey on the handsome man as a souvenir. The next day, the handsome man woke up from his drunken stupor and learned he'd been drugged. Remembering that the person was dressed in men's clothing, he assumed he'd been taken advantage of by a man. He swore he would search the ends of the earth to find that effeminate man. As luck would have it, the two finally met again. This time, without her best friend as backup, Xiaowan felt hopeless. Then, the man walked towards her aggressively and asked, "Hey, have you seen an effeminate man?" Xiaowan was dumbfounded. Could it be he wasn't going to hold her accountable? Li Xiaoyang saw her spacing out and giggling, and thought he'd encountered a fool. "What are you looking at? Haven't you seen someone like me before? Go away." "Okay, I'll leave right away." Xiaowan happily slipped away, leaving Li Xiaoyang sighing and rubbing his forehead that she's definitely got something wrong with her head. She's happy even after being scolded. But then he looked down and saw the fool had returned, rummaging through the pockets of the two petty thieves from earlier. Their eyes met in a flash, and they seemed to find each other familiar. Xiao Wan, feeling guilty, turned and ran. Li Xiaoyang glared at her and threw a dart directly in front of her feet, blocking her path. Xiao Wan's mind raced. Had he changed his mind? Was he going to take revenge, after all? Seeing Li Xiaoyang's demonic hand reaching towards her, Xiao Wan immediately clung to the man's leg, refusing to let go. "Big brother, I was wrong." Although the girl was crying her eyes out, all Li Xiaoyang could see was the ample cleavage revealed by her posture. He blushed involuntarily. The man struggled to shake her off. His two subordinates, instead of helping, leisurely commented, "Wow, look, the boss made another woman cry. No wonder he still doesn't have a wife." At this, Li Xiaoyang suddenly stopped and coldly glanced at his two subordinates. "I heard that. What are you still standing there for? Get over here and pull her off me." Thus, a comical tug of war unfolded in the alley. I'm Pao Jiao. Follow me for a new character in the next episode. A college girl travels to ancient times with her best friend. Her best friend becomes a cold and aloof princess consort, while she becomes a little maid by the princess consort side. At this moment, to save her own life, she's acting cute and clinging to his leg. I won't let go unless you promise not to cause me any more trouble, and especially not to take my life. Li Xiaoyang, who usually avoided contact with women, blushed and asked, "Who told you to steal from others? What did you just take from that person?" Xiaowan froze for a moment before reacting. She couldn't let the accusation of stealing stand. Looking at the righteous-looking young man in front of her, she thought, no way, no way. Could it be that beneath his bully facade, he's actually a good Samaritan? She immediately showed him the receipt, proving the item was originally hers. With the misunderstanding cleared, Li Xiaoyang felt a bit awkward. He kicked his two gossiping subordinates away, scaring Xiao Wan, who clung to his leg even tighter. Li Xiaoyang coldly asked, "Why haven't you let go yet?" Xiao Wan pitifully said, "I'm afraid you're going to hit me next." His reply was a concise scram. Xiao Wan immediately let go. "Then I'm really leaving. You're actually not as bad as you seemed before." Li Xiaoyang suddenly turned around at "You seen me before?" Xiao Wan was dumbfounded, thinking, "How could you forget me, dude? I'm the one who gave you that lump on your head." Just then, Li Xiaoyang's dim-witted subordinates appeared. "Clear that up for him, all right. Hey girl, have you seen this guy? If you see this damn sissy, go to the inn on West Street and find our boss." "Got it." Xiao Wan feigned composure, saying, "Who is this? So ugly, don't know him, don't know him. I have things to do. Gotta go." Then she promptly bolted. Oh my god, this guy wasn't planning on settling the score with me. He freaking didn't even recognize me. Li Xiaoyang was left dumbfounded. This girl is so strange. Xiao Wan ran 800 meters without stopping before she dared to pause. Just as she was rejoicing that no one was chasing her, she bumped headfirst into a firm chest. They both stumbled and fell, with Xiao Wan awkwardly landing on top of the handsome man. Being a sucker for good looks, she was momentarily stunned, forgetting to get off him. The handsome man asked softly, "Miss, are you all right?" Xiao Wan responded dazedly, "I'm fine." But the man said helplessly, "But I'm about to suffocate." She awkwardly scrambled up, apologizing profusely to the man. The handsome man gracefully rose, but in the next second, he gently took Xiao Wan's injured hand and took out a handkerchief to bandage it. A young lady should always be careful. Astra's perfect looks, perfect personality, and he even thoughtfully tied my bandage into a bow. Asterisk. Every detail of this encounter struck a chord in Xiao Wan's heart. Never having been in love before, her eyes instantly turned into stars. The encounter ended, and they parted ways. Xiao Wan hummed a tune as she happily twirled back to the manor, unaware that the manor had been nearly turned upside down because of her. At that moment, Su Su, the princess consort and Xiao Wan's best friend, was anxiously waiting for her return. The villains were also waiting to see their drama unfold. The two best friends had transmigrated to ancient times together. One became the aloof princess consort, and the other became the princess consort's maid. At this time, the princess consort was being harassed by the malicious female antagonist. Fortunately, her best friend, Xiao Wan, returned in time to save the day. The two friends experienced ancient palace intrigue together. The antagonist was concubine Shun, who had always been infatuated with the prince. Unfortunately for her, the prince hadn't even touched her with a finger. So, she hated the favored princess consort. Using Xiao Wan as a pawn, she framed the princess consort for losing the bracelet gifted by the prince's mother. As soon as they met, concubine Shen arrogantly ordered her maid to seize Xiao Wan. Seeing her best friend about to suffer, Su Su naturally couldn't stand for it. She stepped in front of Xiao Wan and grabbed the maid's hand. "What are you doing?" Concubine Shun said sarcastically, "Sister is just helping you discipline your maid since she didn't even curtsy upon seeing me." Xiao Wan, having never suffered such humiliation, was about to retort when Su Su grabbed her hand. "Xiao Wan, don't be impulsive." Su Su flung the maid's hand away and coldly said, "Concubine Shun, mind your own business. You don't need to worry about my people." Seeing that she hadn't managed to deflate the princess consort's spirit, concubine Shin immediately brought up the matter of the missing bracelet to make things difficult for her. Just then, the prince suddenly appeared beside Su Su. Concubine Shun, with a coy expression, unexpectedly approached Su Su. "Are you alright?" Before Su Su could answer, a servant hurriedly explained the whole story to the prince. Concubine Shun also added fuel to the fire. However, the prince still ignored her, focusing only on the princess consort. He asked, is what they said true? Susu naturally wouldn't admit it. At this point, she still believed that Xiao Wan had actually lost the bracelet. Afraid that her best friend would be blamed, she resolutely stood in front of her. Unexpectedly, the prince firmly declared, since my mother has already given the bracelet to the princess consort, it belongs to her. Regardless of what happened to the bracelet, I will listen to you. Susu hadn't expected him to be so unconditionally supportive. The malicious concubine Shen also hadn't expected that after all her scheming, she was the one who ended up looking like a fool. Seeing the prince's doting affection for her best friend, Xiao Wan finally felt relieved enough to interrupt. It turned out that from the moment she was knocked unconscious, she had sensed someone was plotting against her. Coincidentally, the enemy had been unintentionally knocked unconscious by Li Xiuyang, allowing her to retrieve the bracelet. She cleverly hid the bracelet on herself, using the empty box to expose the person who framed them. Now, she presented the jade bracelet to the prince. Oh, right, your highness. I've memorized the appearances of those two thieves. I reported them to the authorities on my way back. They should be apprehended soon. Seeing her scheme exposed, concubine Shun gritted her teeth, wanting to kill her useless subordinate. But she didn't expect someone to act even faster than her. A crisp slap echoed. This girl doesn't seem to understand the rules, madam. Allow me to teach her some manners on your behalf. Xiao Wan transformed into her best friend's biggest fan again. S.U. Su. So cool. Shun Su Fei, seeing the princess consort's wild behavior, wanted to ask the prince to intervene on his behalf. But the prince, eyes fixed on his wife, seemed to be saying, my wife is so cool. My wife is so awesome. My wife is always right. Xiao Wan is really good at restraining herself around this CP. You've heard of transmigration, but have you ever heard of transmigrating with your best friend? The two best friends are picking up handsome men in ancient times. One has caught the eye of a flamboyant and domineering bandit leader. Through a series of chance encounters, the two have become a bickering couple. The other friend has a calm and aloof personality, but her icy heart is slowly melting under the affectionate gaze of the cunning prince, and she's about to open her heart to him. Ever since Xiao Wan was attacked when she went out alone last time, Su has been blaming herself, secretly vowing never to let her best friend venture out alone again. So, when they discovered the whereabouts of another transmigrator, they both dressed up as men and went to a brothel to find him. After entering, they had just agreed to split up when Xiao Wan bumped into that nemesis. Li Xiuyang had originally come here looking for his subordinate, the one who drugged him. But as soon as he entered, he heard a voice he would never forget. He looked over. It's you. That damn sissy. Xiao Wan, feigning composure, pushed him away. Hey, calm down, hero. Then she took off running, not stopping until she reached a storage room in a corner. Before she could catch her breath, Li Xiuyang, who had caught up, kicked her. Still trying to run, she struggled and cried out in pain. That hurts. That hurts? I'd like to crush your bones right now. He retorted angrily. Are you crazy? I hit you with a pillow in self-defense. At that time, you were... Li Xiuyang suddenly understood what she meant. He grabbed her face and rubbed it vigorously. Shut up. It's not because of that. It's because you tricked me in the alley last time. Hearing this, Li Xiuyang froze for 3 seconds. The woman in the alley? Fake beard, sissy. He ripped off her crooked fake beard and then rudely snatched off her hairpiece. Her long hair cascaded down. So, the same person had caused him misfortune twice. Now he would settle both old and new scores. He grabbed her again as she tried to escape. Were you instructed by Hei Fengzhai to drug me? Xiao Wan didn't understand what he was talking about. The next second, he grabbed her wrist, smooth and unblemished. Li Xiuyang finally realized he had been misunderstanding this young woman. Seeing the man about to pull open her clothes further, checking for scars, Xiao Wan, unable to bear it any longer, jumped on him. As they struggled, a large box above them wobbled precariously. Xiao Wan, in the midst of her attack, was completely oblivious. Li Xiuyang saw it first. He quickly rolled over, pulling her away just as the box fell. Their positions reversed. Xiao Wan hadn't expected him to save her. Suddenly, voices approached. They quickly hid. It turned out that a man was tied up in the storage room, on the verge of death. Now that their near-murderous secret had been discovered, the brothel's thugs wouldn't let them go. But they didn't expect to be attacked as soon as they entered. Xiao Wan knocked one down and ran out. The others tried to chase her, but another man blocked them. If you want to catch her, you'll have to go through me. When a modern, energetic young woman meets an ancient thug leader, they bicker as soon as they meet. But when danger arises, The thug leader shields the girl from harm. The three thugs are skilled fighters, but they are quickly defeated by Li Xiaoyang. However, one of them is quite cunning. Pretending to be defeated, he waits for Li Xiaoyang to let his guard down before attacking. Just as he strikes, a handful of chili powder is thrown in his face. His eyes burning, his dagger clatters to the floor. The two work together seamlessly, one with explosive martial arts skills, the other excessively clever. Li Xiaoyang initially thought the girl had run away, but unexpectedly, she returned to save him. Xiaowan grabbed his hand, wanting to escape together, but she discovered the man's leg was injured. Noisy footsteps approached from outside. The two could only find a hidden place to hide. Xiaowan breathed a sigh of relief, seeing no one was chasing them. She happily told the man, "That's great." Their eyes met at close range, and both blushed involuntarily. But they quickly realized that they were supposed to dislike each other. They both turned away, each letting out a cold snort. Both intended to part ways there. Before leaving, Xiaowan started to say, "Great. Finally, I don't have to be with you anymore. Hey, you think I wanted to be with you? Do you have any conscience? I almost got ambushed just now, and I saved you. I didn't need your help." Xiaowan lifted her foot, aiming at his injured leg threateningly. "I told you I've been putting up with you for a long time. If you're mean to me again, don't blame me if I can't control my foot." However, in the next second, Li Xiaoyang pulled her close and covered her mouth. "Quiet, someone's coming." Xiaowan immediately stopped struggling. The newcomer was the brothel's security chief. He angrily ordered his men, "You must find the two who discovered the secret." It turned out the man who was being beaten wanted to elope with their top courtesan. So the security chief ordered his men to beat the man to death. Xiaowan hadn't expected them to actually kill someone. Seeing a group of people searching for them, and with Li Xiaoyang's injured leg, they couldn't run far. So, looking at the man, she hatched a plan. Li Xiaoyang had a bad feeling. Sure enough, the next second, he was grabbed by the collar and dragged into a room. The thugs quickly arrived, loudly demanding, "Who's in there?" A young man's angry roar came from within. "Who's interrupting this young master's fun?" The thugs were confused. Could it be today's honored guest, Master Chong? From inside, Li Xiaoyang added, "Get out of here." Xiaowan, putting a high-pitched voice, cried, "Oh, Master Chong, I'm so scared." Li Xiaoyang got goosebumps hearing that voice. Fortunately, the thugs outside believed them. Hearing them about to leave, they quietly breathed a sigh of relief. However, the leader suddenly felt something was wrong and insisted on lifting the curtain to look. Li Xiaoyang was about to get up, prepare to fight, but Xiaowan held him down. She cleared her throat. Then, she quickly snatched his belt and undid his robe. When a modern, energetic girl runs into an ancient bandit leader, these two, originally enemies, have to pretend to be a courtesan and her client to avoid being pursued. Xiaowan quickly pulled open his clothes and undid his hair. She pushed him onto the bed and hid under the covers herself. They had just gotten into position when the thug lifted the curtain. Seeing such a steamy scene, he immediately backed out. The thugs lingered, still not quite leaving. Li Xiaoyang, red-faced and gritting his teeth, endured it on the bed. Xiaowan, thinking he was shy, quietly made a shush gesture, signaling that it would be over soon. Just a little longer. Finally, the men outside dispersed. Xiaowan, pleased with her success, happily took credit. But then Li Xiaoyang jumped up angrily. "You're on my injured leg. Get off." The atmosphere immediately became awkward. Li Xiaoyang got up, dressed, and bandaged his wound. After waiting for the thugs to go far away, the two quietly slipped out. However, upon reaching the main hall, they discovered a shocking scene. The once bustling and lively brothel was now littered with corpses. A group of men in black were killing everyone they saw. Xiaowan's heart sank. Her best friend, Su Su, hadn't returned yet. She was about to rush out to find Su Su, but Li Xiaoyang grabbed her. "Are you trying to get yourself killed?" As they struggled, they saw the men in black preparing to set the building on fire. They were actually planning to burn the place down to destroy the evidence. Li Xiaoyang quickly stepped forward, blocking the man in black who was about to light the fire. But the man suddenly threw the torch behind him. Amidst the chaos of fire and lightning, Li Xiaoyang leaped into the air to catch a torch. However, Xiaowan was suddenly attacked from behind by a man in black, a long knife slicing her skin. She cried out in pain and dropped the torch. Spinning around, she kicked the attacker away. Thinking the fire was now unavoidable, she heard a splash as the torch was doused with water. It turned out that Xiao Wan, during the fight, had brought water. Working together once again, the two of them repelled the attackers. However, this time, Xiao Wan's injury was quite serious. Her entire back was lacerated. But as the men in black surrounded them, she still resolutely shielded Li Xiaoyang behind her. Perhaps anticipating that, seriously injured, she couldn't defeat these men. She turned to Li Xiaoyang and said, "You idiot, I'll take over here. Put out the fires." Then Xiao Wan charged out, drawing the remaining men in black away. She left Li Xiaoyang with only her retreating figure, looking at Xiao Wan's blood on his hands. Li Xiaoyang's feelings were complicated. Before he could process them, his ankle was grabbed tightly by one of the injured men in black. Despite wearing armor, Li Xiaoyang couldn't break free. Just then, Su Su arrived like a divine warrior, kicking the man in black away. The worried friends finally reunited, each relieved to find the other safe. It turned out Su Su hadn't found the others who had traveled with them. Instead, she had encountered the prince on her way back. The prince, having received news of the bloodshed, had dispatched troops to apprehend the culprits. Seeing Su Su's blushing face, Li Xiaoyang knew something else must have happened between her and the prince. Suddenly, he remembered he had almost forgotten about the injured Xiao Wan. Just as Li Xiaoyang was about to ask the prince to send someone to rescue her, he saw flames erupting everywhere. People were fleeing in all directions. Su Su quickly pulled him away from the inferno. Li Xiaoyang hesitated, looking back. But I don't know how she is. The Ice Queen keeps her heart locked away, while the cunning prince relentlessly pursues her. However, today, the runaway princess consort didn't want to run anymore, because when a stray arrow flew towards her, this man appeared before her without hesitation, shielding her from the fatal blow. The prince didn't have time to say a word before collapsing into her arms. The arrow was poisoned. Su Su was terrified. She quickly brought the prince back to the residence. After a frantic night, the poison was neutralized, but the prince remained feverish. Everyone was at a loss. Finally, Su Su used her modern knowledge and used alcohol to wipe his body down, physically cooling him. Soon, the prince's fever subsided. As Su Su was about to leave to get fresh water, the prince grabbed her hand. Frowning, he murmured, Don't go." Su Su's hand was gripped tightly. A blush crept up her cheeks, recalling how he had shielded her without a second thought. Su Su's heart pounded uncontrollably. She stayed by his bedside all night. However, she retreated just as the prince was about to wake. So, when Bai Muji awoke, he expected to see his princess consort by his bedside. Instead, he saw concubine Shun. Without even glancing at her, he dismissed her. Then, summoning his personal guard, he inquired, and learned that it was his princess consort who had cared for him all night. Secretly pleased, he quietly asked his most trusted guard, "Do you think the princess consort resembles her?" It turned out that when he was young and bullied in the palace, his sixth imperial sister-in-law had always been kind to him. Young Bai Muji had developed a special affection for her. Back then, he couldn't distinguish whether it was familial affection or romantic love. It wasn't until he met Su Su that he understood what true love was. Although he initially married her because she was his sixth imperial sister-in-law's long-lost younger sister, every moment they spent together after their marriage had caused him to fall deeply in love with her. On the other side of the prince's manor, Xiao Wan noticed her best friend, Su Su, acting strangely. This was evident in how she poured water, spilling it on the 16th, how she scraped her plate with a screeching noise during meals, and how she'd clumsily bump into doors. Xiao Wan finally couldn't stand it anymore. While the two were roasting sweet potatoes, she probed Su Su about her feelings for the prince. Under Xiao Wan's persistent questioning, Su Su finally broke down. Her only concern was that the prince might be in love with the original Su Su. Xiao Wan responded with a sharp flick to her forehead. Her words jolted Su Su awake. Indeed, the original Su Su and Bai Muji had never been involved. It was her, Tang Su Su, who had been spending every day with him, and it was her he had risked his life to save. Su Su, always decisive in love and hate, immediately left her friend and ran to the study to confess her feelings to the prince. She imagined the scene unfolding with blushing faces, or perhaps a forced confession. "Scream all you want, it's no use. or maybe a little lamb meeting a big bad wolf. But the reality was beyond anything Su could have imagined. The prince wasn't in the study. Instead, she discovered a portrait of another woman. The woman in the painting was charming and alluring, bearing an 80% resemblance to Su. Inscribed above were the words, "No water can compare to the vast sea, no mountain can replace Mount Wu." At that moment, concubine Shun appeared, mocking Su, saying she was nothing more than a substitute for his deceased sister-in-law. Su's heart sank, and she cried. But she didn't give up. She wouldn't accept just anyone's word. She needed Bai Muji to tell her the truth himself. Just as she encountered the prince and was about to ask him, panicked maids rushed in to report that Xiao Wan had been abducted from the manor. They were a bickering couple, always arguing whenever they met, but their encounters often left them flustered. Then one day, the man, in an attempt to distract the enemy and protect the girl, died tragically by another's blade. Seeing his body, the girl was shocked and deeply disturbed. So, in her backyard, she built a small grave, placing a single flower on it. Since she didn't know his name, the tombstone simply read, "Big Demon Anshi." With a sorrowful face, she reminisced about the big demon, recalling every moment they spent together. If Li Xiaoyang were here, he would surely be grateful. At night, Xiaowan was drawn to a noise. She went to the window, but found nothing. Just as she was about to close it, Li Xiaoyang suddenly appeared upside down before her eyes. Xiaowan screamed "Ghost!" and slammed the window shut. Perhaps the scene was too terrifying. Xiaowan jolted awake. It was just a nightmare. But could he still be alive? Unbeknownst to Xiaowan, Li Xiaoyang was not only alive and well, but after escaping the fire, he had returned to the mountain stronghold and punished the second-in-command who had repeatedly tried to kill him. Li Xiaoyang's true identity was the son of the stronghold's leader, essentially the crown prince of the bandits. Since his father's death, the second-in-command had been plotting to usurp control. Unfortunately, due to lack of evidence, he could only be spared for now. That night, Li Xiaoyang also dreamed of Xiaowan. Unlike Xiaowan's terrifying dream, it seemed more like a spring dream. A beautiful woman kept calling his name. He felt drunk, or perhaps bewitched by her. Just as he was about to lose control, Li Xiaoyang grabbed the woman's hand. "Who are you?" The woman giggled, her face becoming clear. It was the effeminate man with a mustache. Li Xiaoyang yelped and fell out of the tree. The rapid descent startled him awake. He thought to himself, thankfully, it was just a nightmare. Just then, he heard a noise. He pretended to be unconscious. When the Irun made their move, a uniform with a gun. As expected, the man was indeed instructed by the second-in-command. After a round of interrogation and torture, Li Xiaoyang learned a secret in advance. His dear second uncle had an even bigger murder planned for tomorrow. But who could tell him why that woman appeared in his bandit lair, and had even become a pawn in his second uncle's plot to kill him? Could you believe it? A modern girl, in front of a group of ancient people, started doing radio calisthenics. Xiaowan stood frozen in the middle of the stage, at a loss. Heaven knows what kind of ordeal she had been through these past 2 days. First, she was mistaken for her best friend, Su, drugged and transported out of the city in a manure cart. After finally escaping with her wit and intelligence, she had barely escaped the wolf's den only to fall into the tiger's mouth. Her imagined heroic rescue never happened. The handsome man tricked her on the surface, but secretly sold her to human traffickers for 200 taels of silver. The traffickers found her too troublesome. She either set fire to the house or smashed things in her attempts to escape. And with a bunch of officers searching for her outside, they simply handed her over to bandits. Once up in the mountains, she cleverly changed into Wu Nyang's dress, planning to sneak away in the chaos. But she was caught and dragged back, forced onto the center of the stage. Below the stage, a group of men started to get rowdy, seeing her standing there dumbfounded and motionless. Xiaowan didn't know how to dance either, so she just had to bite the bullet and start performing. First, a set of radio calisthenics, followed by a set of aerobics. The dancers below the stage widened their eyes in shock. They were done for. The whole troupe was probably going to die, but the bandits' reaction was completely different. The minor bandit leader slowly loosened his grip on the troop leader's neck and praised the dance as quite novel. The other bandits were also excited. This is ancient dance. The way this young lady moves, it's like she's combining martial arts and weaponry. Between Xiao Wan's movements, her cheek was accidentally revealed. Li Xiaoyang caught a glimpse of that familiar face. He involuntarily craned his neck. How is it that little thing? The song ended, winning thunderous applause. Feeling the enthusiasm from the audience, Xiao Wan was instantly emboldened. So aerobics could be this popular. At this moment, the second-in-command scheme began. He arranged for his men to goad Li Xiaoyang, forcing him to choose a woman to enjoy. Li Xiaoyang played along with their plan. He casually pointed at Xiao Wan in the center, that let's have that bony dancer. He slowly walked towards Xiao Wan. He gestured for her to come down. Xiao Wan was thrilled. Finally, she could leave the stage. But when she got closer and saw the man's face, she almost lost her footing in shock that it's him. What? Wasn't he dead? A time-traveling woman performed radio calisthenics in front of a group of bandits. Instead of being dragged out and executed, she won thunderous applause. The bandits thought she was combining martial arts and dance. They were awestruck by the dancing girl. Even the young master of the mountain stronghold took a liking to her. The man slowly walked towards the girl. Despite his handsome appearance, he frightened the girl, making her tremble. What? Wasn't he dead? I even saw his body. Seeing the person in front of him muttering to herself, Li Xiaoyang finally confirmed his suspicion. It was indeed her. She must have stumbled into the stronghold by accident. But what was she doing, acting like a fool? Xiao Wan closed her eyes tightly and opened them again. Li Xiaoyang not only hadn't disappeared, but he also pulled her down. The moment they drew close, their eyes met. The man reached out and held her waist. Their bodies pressed close together. Xiao Wan instantly blushed. The fanboys below the stage cheered for the young master's domineering demeanor. Xiao Wan stammered, You're really not dead? Li Xiaoyang didn't answer. He simply lifted her into his strong arms. The girl's eyes widened in alarm. She asked him what he was doing, but the man only whispered for her to be quiet. So, Xiao Wan naturally thought of the big devil and the image of the sly fox. However, this handsome one-handed hold, in the eyes of these old perverts in a mountain stronghold, was a different story. Ha! Didn't expect the young master to be so impatient. Well, it makes sense. Our young master is at a vigorous age. How could he possibly abstain forever? It's just that the young master's taste is a bit plain. Xiao Wan looked down at her own flat chest. Old pervert, Li Xiaoyang replied calmly in a loud voice as he walked towards the room. Yes, I can't let down second uncle's careful preparations. Seeing Xiao Wan's unyielding expression, Li Xiaoyang threatened in a low voice, If you don't cooperate, I'll throw you over there. Xiao Wan immediately caved and obediently wrapped her arms around the man's neck. Watching the two leave, the second-in-command revealed a triumphant expression. As soon as they entered the room, Xiao Wan was roughly thrown onto the bed by Li Xiaoyang. She tried to grab a pillow from above her head to fight back, but the man grabbed her wrist. What? You want to hit me with a pillow again? Xiao Wan struggled desperately that you're the one being indecent. Li Xiaoyang didn't reply, instead directing her gaze towards the door. Someone was watching them. Xiao Wan almost screamed, but the man covered her mouth, telling her to be quiet. Xiao Wan nodded, signaling him to let go. As soon as he released his hand, a barrage of questions followed. How are you alive? Are you the leader here? But why is someone still watching you? Li Xiaoyang interrupted impatiently. You asked too many questions. He then shot a dart at the lock, splitting it open and revealing the scene behind the bed. Xiao Wan cried out in alarm. Why you? What are you going to do? You don't think you can do whatever you want just because you're good looking? However, the anticipated intimate contact didn't come. Instead, she heard the sound of wooden planks. Xiao Wan coughed awkwardly. Why didn't you say so earlier? Li Xiaoyang said in exasperation, If you want to live, follow me. What's going on in that head of yours? The two were still playing a game of Temple Run in the mountain stronghold, unaware that Su, in her search for her best friend, had nearly been blinded by shock. The girl had transmigrated with her best friend. The two continued to be best friends in ancient times. But one day, one of them was kidnapped by bandits. The other was frantic, searching madly, only to find a piece of her clothing by the river. The guard speculated that she had likely drowned. Su yelled, Impossible. Seeing this, the prince quickly stepped in to comfort Su. I'll send someone to dredge the river. Su flung off his hand. Impossible. The prince hugged her tightly from behind. Su, calm down. I'll find you a better maid to serve you. What Bai Muji didn't know was that in Su's heart, Xiao Wan wasn't just a best friend, but like family. She said coldly, I am Tang Su, not Tang Su, and I'm not anyone's replacement. Bai Muji was thunderstruck. How did she know? In the next moment, Su pushed him away, searching for her best friend alone in the rain. But before she could go far, disaster struck. A man in black appeared and struck her with a club. Then another person appeared, attempting to assassinate her. The two worked together seamlessly, clearly prepared. Fortunately, Su, having been born into countless noble families in the modern world, mustered all her strength and dodged the attack before losing consciousness. When she woke up again, she was already in the prince's manor, recalling the assassination attempt and her best friend's kidnapping. It seemed clear that someone was plotting against her. She resolved to find a mastermind behind it all. Just then, the prince's voice came from outside the door. Su pretended to be asleep. With the situation unclear, she only trusted herself. No one else, not even the man who was her husband in name. Meanwhile, her missing best friend, Xiao Wan, was playing the role of a bandit's wife in the mountain stronghold. She thought her innocence was about to be lost. Unexpectedly, the anticipated beastly behavior didn't appear. Instead, the big devil helped her escape the mountain stronghold. However, Xiao Wan, even with all her might, couldn't climb out. Li Xiaoyang, acting as a human stepladder, urged her from below. Suddenly, the person above him slipped and fell. Luckily, he reacted quickly and caught her steadily. This princess Carrie was a little romantic. Xiao Wan blushed and wanted to get down, but Li Xiaoyang wouldn't let go. He took a deep breath and leaped up, landing steadily on the ground. Xiao Wan didn't notice Li Xiaoyang's eyes staring at her chest. She was busy complaining, "You can fly? Why didn't you bring me up earlier? I had to climb all this way myself." But the next second, he let go. Blushing, he pretended to be calm and said, You're too heavy." The two waded across from the mountain stronghold until it was dark. Li Xiaoyang still refused to tell Xiao on the way down the mountain. But Xiao knew Su must be frantic with worry. She wanted to go back quickly and let her know she was safe. Seeing her about to descend the mountain alone in the middle of the night, he hurriedly grabbed her hand and asked petulantly, "Hey, with all this treasure for us, how can you leave me and run off? Are you in a hurry to see your sweetheart?" Xiao Wan bit down hard on his hand and stomped on his foot. Infuriated, Li Xiaoyang decided to leave her be. Just then, firelight appeared from the direction of the mountain stronghold. His dear second uncle had started his move. Li Xiaoyang didn't have time to deal with Xiao Wan anymore. He returned to the stronghold to deal with the rebels. But who could tell him how that ungrateful woman ended up back at the stronghold, and in his bed, no less. The girl had been kidnapped into the bandits' lair. Out of desperation, she performed radio calisthenics for the bandits. Unexpectedly, the young master took a liking to her and carried her back to his room. After much difficulty, she escaped, only to be unlucky enough to be caught again by bandits returning up the mountain. Thrown back to the young master, Xiao Wan struggled with all her might to get out of the sack. Hearing sounds at the door, she quickly found a place to hide. Meanwhile, Li Xiaoyang finally finished dealing with the rebels in the stronghold. He had just returned to his room and sat down when he noticed a large chest that wasn't there before. He slowly walked towards it. Xiao Wan held her breath. However, after the chest was opened, Li Xiaoyang instantly blushed crimson and quickly closed the chest, complaining about his subordinates putting such indecent books inside. Xiao Wan, hiding behind him, thought smugly, "Good thing I didn't hide in the chest." Li Xiaoyang, covering his eyes with one hand, opened the chest again. But still, he thought, is this stuff really that interesting? Xiao Wan stealthily approached from behind. The first thing she saw was this fragrantly erotic scene. Suddenly, the sound of his subordinates rudely opening the door startled them both. They both jumped and quickly dove back on a bed. With a bang, the chest was slammed shut again. It turned out to be his subordinates bringing him bathwater. After placing the water down, the simple-minded subordinate foolishly asked, "Boss, why is your face so red?" Unsurprisingly, he was once again kicked out by Li Xiaoyang. Xiao Wan, still hiding, was dumbfounded. Is he going to take a bath? She thought. Li Xiaoyang's actions quickly confirmed her suspicions. The scene was too beautiful. To avoid a nosebleed, Xiao Wan covered her eyes. Surrounded by steam, Li Xiaoyang couldn't help but think of that annoying girl. That girl doesn't know the mountain paths and is so timid. I could have escorted her away if she'd waited just a little longer, but she wouldn't even stay for a moment. Looking down at the bite mark on his hand, he cursed himself internally. Why am I thinking about that stupid woman again? Fine, go ahead and leave. It's best if you never appear in front of me again. Of course, Xiao Wan had no idea what the big devil was thinking. After a long day, she started to feel sleepy. Waiting and waiting, she fell asleep. In her dream, she was back in her university dorm. Su, seeing her sleeping in, bought her a meat bun, and then went to class. Xiaowan excitedly picked up the large meat bun, thinking she had returned to the modern world. She opened her mouth wide to take a bite, but how could this meat bun be moving? It turned out to be the blanket in reality, being lifted by the big devil. Wanted to eat the meat bun. Xiaowan bit down on Li Xiaoyang's arm. Huh, this isn't a meat bun. Where's the meat bun? Li Xiaoyang looked at the suddenly appearing woman with disgust. Xiaowan jumped up in fright. You listen to my explanation. But the big devil dodged back, and with a splash, Li Xiaoyang found herself pinned to the ground by Xiaowan. She turned her head and feigned a ferocious expression. How dare you? Do you know what happens to women who throw themselves at me? Xiaowan struggled to get up while trying to appease her that it wasn't me. Really, it wasn't. Li Xiaoyang grabbed her wrist and pulled her closer. Wasn't what? Don't think I really won't do anything to you. Although Xiaowan's innocence was now questionable. Her best friend, Su Su, was in agony. Prince Baimuji had brought news of Xiaowan's supposed death. Su Su looked at the retrieved token, a keepsake between her and her best friend. Her heart ached, but she maintained a calm facade, lulling the prince into a false sense of security. As soon as he left, she quickly removed her cloak, revealing the night clothes beneath. Whether her best friend was dead or alive, she would make those responsible pay. She would make them pay in blood. He was the arrogant young master of the bandits, yet a young girl had seen him bathing. This was, however, the nth time this girl had made him blush. Their first encounter at the inn began with a delightful misunderstanding. Then in a back alley, the girl had clung to him, pleading for mercy. Later, at the manhwa house, she had stripped him bare. So, upon encountering her again at the mountain stronghold, Li Xiaoyang didn't hesitate to scoop her up and carry her back to his room. When the girl pounced on him again, Li Xiaoyang pulled her close. Don't think I really won't do anything to you. Hearing the commotion, his subordinates burst through the door, only to find their young master straddled by a girl. They all covered their eyes, pretending not to see. Excuse us, excuse us. One quick-witted subordinate, eager to curry favor, added, Young master, I brought her here for you. Enjoy. Li Xiaoyang then realized she hadn't been trying to seduce him, but had been brought there by his dim-witted subordinates. The realization killed the mood. What are you standing around for? Get her out of here, he snapped. His subordinates moved to obey, but Xiaowan clung desperately to her robe. Hey, no need to drag me. I can walk. Li Xiaoyang was about to shake her off when suddenly there was a ripping sound. Xiaowan was still wondering what the ripping sound was about when 3 of the subordinates turned beet red. Realizing what had happened, Xiaowan swallowed hard, her face burning. Mustering her courage, she shakily offered the waistband towards Li Xiaoyang. Do you still want your waistband? Li Xiaoyang's face was thunderous. Moments later, a furious roar echoed through the night. Get out, all of you. Humiliated, Li Xiaoyang deposited Xiaowan on a roof as punishment. The roof was high, and he'd taken away the ladder. There was no escape, especially with a dim-witted guard watching her 24/7. The dim-witted Xiaowan suddenly had a brilliant idea. Meanwhile, Su Su, believing her friend dead, plotted her revenge. Her first suspect was Madame Shun, their longtime nemesis. She followed Madame Shun's maid and found the 2 thugs who had abducted Xiaowan. Su Su wanted to finish them off, but her 21st century upbringing prevented her from resorting to murder. Instead, she beat them senseless, hung signs detailing their crimes around their necks, and delivered them to the magistrate's doorstep. The informant was listed as Doryman. The magistrate chuckled. Doryman? What a strange name. Su Su watched from afar. These 2 were just the appetizer. Her revenge had just begun. Shunrume, I'll make the entire Shen family pay for Wanzi's death. Have you ever seen such a handsome best friend? To avenge her friend, she tracked down the men who abducted Xiaowan, beat them black and blue, and delivered them to the authorities. Then, using the 2 of them, she lured out the mastermind, Madame Shun. Just as Madame Shun was about to silence them, Su Su made a domineering entrance, cornering them in the cell. Without a word, she grabbed AI Shu's maid and tossed her aside with one hand. She coldly addressed Madame Shun. You hate me. I'll let the past incident slide, but now you're trying to take my life and have killed innocent people. Madame Shun not only disregarded her threat, but also sarcastically remarked on Xiao Wan's low status and deserved death. But before she could finish, she received a resounding slap. This slap is for your cruelty for killing my best friend. Madame Shen clutched her reddened face and angrily retorted, Tang Susu, how dare you hit me? My father is the prime minister. Her response was met with another sharp slap. This slap is for your lack of remorse and for insulting her. Sensing the murderous aura surrounding Susu, Madame Shen finally became truly afraid. But she still didn't believe the woman in front of her would dare to kill her. Susu leaned down and grabbed her by the collar. Shun Rume, you'll get what you deserve. This time, I'll make your entire Shun family pay. You just wait in this cell and reunite with your prime minister father. Xiao Wan was unaware that her best friend had already embarked on a killing spree. At this moment, she was still trying to figure out how to get down from the roof. After trying bribes of money, food, and even flirting, all to no avail, Xiao Wan opted for a more targeted approach. Discovering the guard's fondness for drawing, she successfully tricked the simple-minded guard with a mere doodle of a rabbit. Just as she was about to slip away, she bumped headfirst into a solid chest. Hearing the newcomer's voice, recognizing it as Li Xiaoyang, Xiao Wan immediately recalled her embarrassing state from the previous night and decided to play dead. Seeing her seemingly faint, Li Xiaoyang anxiously caught her in his arms. Just then, a butterfly fluttered by, landing on Xiao Wan's eyelid. The tickling sensation caused her to frown, which Li Xiaoyang instantly noticed. He whispered in her ear, since you're already unconscious, I might as well dig a hole and bury you. Destroy the evidence. Xiao Wan froze in fear, then dramatically exclaimed, ouch. My head hurts. I think I fainted from hunger. The man, uninterested in her theatrics, scooped her up and hoisted her over his shoulder. Xiao Wan kicked her legs wildly. Hey, I'm awake now. Where are you taking me? Your sweetheart is here looking for you. Don't you want to see her? Xiao Wan was bewildered. Sweetheart? You're not actually going to bury me alive, are you? That's a crime. Li Xiaoyang carried Xiao Wan to a pit and stopped to put her down. Upon seeing the ominous hole, Xiao Wan was terrified and clung to Li Xiaoyang, refusing to let go. What are you doing? Get down. I'm not going down there. You're trying to bury me alive. Only a fool would let go. The subordinates watching the clinging pair couldn't help but laugh. Li Xiaoyang, blushing again, threatened, if you don't let go, I'll kill your sweetheart. Xiao Wan finally relented. She wanted to see who this supposed sweetheart was. The two faced each other. Who are you? Who are you? If you think the big bad bandit leader was jealous, give this video a like. Having confirmed Xiao Wan had no lover, Li Xiaoyang hoisted her back onto his shoulder and fastened a bell around her ankle. Xiao Wan protested, accusing Li Xiaoyang of putting a dog bell on her. What Xiao Wan didn't know was that the bell had a tracking enchantment. As long as she wore it, no matter where she went, Li Xiaoyang could find her using his matching bell. The two best friends had traveled to ancient times together, one becoming a princess, the other her maid. But now, the maid, Xiao Wan, had been missing for days, her fate unknown. Seeing a piece of her clothing by the river, Susu believed she had drowned. Overcome with grief and rage, Susu unleashed her fury. She lured Madame Shun, who had harmed her best friend, to the dungeon, slapped her twice, and kicked her into a corner. Then, calmly masking her face, she proceeded deeper into the dungeon, stopping before a strange man. The man was Song Ting, also known as Song Darren, who held a grudge against the Shun family. Susu, in her role as a chivalrous woman, handed over Madame Shun, along with years of incriminating evidence against the Shun family, to Song Darren. Ruining the Shun family was the first step in her revenge for Xiao Wan. But what Susu didn't know was that her best friend, whom she believed to be dead, was currently living it up at the mountain stronghold. Xiao Wan was actually lying on a rocking chair, leisurely eating fruit. Earlier that day, before she put on the act with Bai Jiao, she had slipped him a token that she shared with Susu, telling him to find a chance to escape. After getting down the mountain, he was to deliver a message to Susu for her. Upon receiving the wooden token, Susu would definitely come to the stronghold to rescue her. Just then, voices could be heard conversing outside the door. Xiao Wan quickly spat out a grape seed and lay down, pretending to be asleep. From the corner of her eye, she saw the big baddie, Li Xiaoyang, walking over. She quickly closed her eyes and feigned sleep. Feeling Li Xiaoyang lean down to look at her, Xiao Wan's heart pounded in her chest. She worried that the big baddie might suddenly reach out and strangle her. But in the next second, she felt the man gently squat down beside her. He playfully poked her warm, soft cheek. Finding the sensation pleasing, he continued poking Xiao Wan's face. His gaze softened with affection, a stark contrast to his usual arrogant demeanor. But Xiao Wan, with her eyes closed, couldn't see any of this. At that moment, she was frantically complaining internally. What is this guy doing? Does he think my face is dough? As Li Xiaoyang played, he suddenly noticed a red mark on her neck. A strange feeling arose in his heart, and he instinctively reached out and touched it. Xiao Wan's heart pounded, and cold sweat trickled down her back. Fortunately, a subordinate urgently reported something from outside the door, forcing Li Xiaoyang to attend to pressing matters. Xiao Wan, having narrowly escaped disaster, quickly bolted upright from the chair. He actually reached out. Does that guy really want to silence me? She thought. A girl kidnapped into a bandit's lair, in order to save her life, performed calisthenics for the bandits. The second in command, upon seeing this, took her back to his room without a word. Xiao Wan thought her life was in danger, but she didn't know that Li Xiaoyang had already fallen for her. Through their constant bickering, the girl had slowly made her way into his heart. So, when he learned she wasn't feeling well, he immediately put aside his work to see her. Xiao Wan tearfully complained of a rash that was incredibly itchy. Two of his subordinates, thinking it was contagious, backed away in fear. Li Xiaoyang, however, couldn't help but step forward. Seeing Xiao Wan reach up to scratch her face, he quickly grabbed her hand to stop her. Xiao Wan dramatically threw back the covers. What am I gonna do? It's not just on my face, it's all over my body. She then reached for her collar, as if to pull it open. The innocent young man immediately blushed. He quickly grabbed her other hand to stop her, but he was too late. Li Xiaoyang, blushing, listened as Xiao Wan continued, I don't know if this rash is contagious. Li Xiaoyang glared at his subordinates, not wanting them to see Xiao Wan's body. He grabbed each of them and threw them out the door. Xiao Wan was practically rolling around with joy inside. Luckily, I'm allergic to garlic, she thought. Surely they'll send me away now. Just then, Li Xiaoyang returned. Xiao Wan hurriedly stuffed the garlic back into her clothes. Why haven't you left yet? She wondered, thinking he was about to send her away. Li Xiaoyang, seeing her shove her hand inside her clothes, assumed she was scratching the rash. Annoyed, he stepped forward and domineeringly pinned her hand above her head. Didn't I tell you not to scratch? Xiao Wan was stunned. The big baddie is kind of handsome when he's being domineering, she thought, her heart pounding in her chest. Meanwhile, her best friend, Su Su, was still busy working on her revenge. Having just returned to the manor, she learned from a maid that the prince had been looking for her. She changed clothes and went to find him, but she unexpectedly saw him turn into a secluded corner. Su Su overheard from the guards that the person in prison here was the one who attacked her that day. She snatched a guard's uniform and quietly followed the prince. Planning to investigate, she didn't expect him to notice. While following him, the prince suddenly disappeared. In the next second, a rope whizzed through the air behind her. Su Su instinctively dodged the attack. The rope slammed straight into a tree trunk. Immediately after, it wrapped around her neck. The prince asked who it was. Looking closely, he realized it was his wife. He quickly released her. A Taekwondo girl traveled through time to ancient times, becoming the mischievous prince's troublesome princess. The two played a game of cat and mouse. Just when the aloof girl's heart finally softened, tragedy struck. Her best friend, Xiao Wan, was killed by the prince's concubine. But the prince not only failed to punish the murderer, but also protected Madame Shan. Su Su, utterly disappointed, left in anger. Since she couldn't rely on men, she decided to take revenge herself. She joined forces with Song Ting to expose Madame Shan. The prince was about to chase after her, but Su Su threw a dagger at his feet, stopping him. She declared that they were now separated. The prince, helpless, could only watch Su Su leave. Since he couldn't stop his wife, he could only move his plans forward. Meanwhile, Xiao Wan's escape plan failed. She thought that feigning a rash would get her sent down the mountain. However, Li Xiaoyang wasn't afraid of being infected. Afraid she would scratch herself, he tied her hands. Li Xiaoyang's double stepped forward and threatened. I told you before I figure out your identity, don't even think about leaving. Xiao Wan blushed, avoiding his hot breath. If you move again, I'll wrap you up like a dumpling and throw you down the mountain. Xiao Wan retorted angrily that I knew you had ulterior motives. So don't move. Wait for me to come back. Xiao Wan asked him what he meant. Li Xiaoyang affectionately flicked her forehead. He replied, literally. Then he turned and went out, telling his two subordinates that he was going to invite a divine doctor to treat her illness. The old doctor had an eccentric temper, so he had to go personally. Xiao Wan overheard their conversation from inside the room. She hadn't expected the blockhead to not only not find her a burden, but to be so kind to her. Two little figures began to fight in her heart. One was touched by the demon's tenderness and consideration. The other reminded her, "Remember, the demon almost strangled you this morning." The two little figures were locked in a stalemate. Just then, the dim-witted guards outside all left. Xiaowan was torn between escaping and staying. If she escaped, the demon would be very disappointed when he returned with the doctor. But if she didn't escape, when the doctor discovered the rash was fake, the demon would be even angrier. Thinking of this, Xiaowan decisively left a fake pillow behind, disguised herself as a bandit, and escaped. But she couldn't remove the bells on her feet, so she had to run with them jingling. Everyone guess, when Li Xiaoyang catches up to her, how will he deal with her? They are a bickering couple, always at odds when they meet. But when someone tried to poison the boy, the girl, regardless of the danger, stepped in to stop them. Unexpectedly, the mastermind behind it all noticed and knocked her unconscious. Then they released a drug powder that caused people to go mad, throwing the entire Black Wind stronghold into chaos. Fortunately, Li Xiaoyang returned early and quickly subdued the crazed people. While investigating the cause of the madness, he noticed a familiar-looking shoe. Just then, he heard a familiar ringing sound. He carefully identified the direction. Without hesitation, he chased after it. Outside the stronghold, the mastermind was carrying Xiao Wan and fleeing quickly. Li Xiaoyang followed like the wind. Seeing that he was about to be caught, the man calmly took out a flute and played a strange melody. Li Xiaoyang felt that the flute music was very odd. But she didn't expect that deep within the forest, countless pairs of blood-red eyes were watching her. Li Xiaoyang quietly drew her sword, preparing for battle. Frenzied beasts growled, approaching her from all directions. While she was entangled with the beasts, the mastermind quickly escaped with Xiao Wan. Xiao Wan woke up when a few leaves brushed against her face. Opening her eyes, she discovered the villain who knocked her unconscious was right in front of her. Not only had the man, in a perverse display of amusement, painted her face like a cat, he had also tied her to a tree with rope. The more Xiao Wan struggled, the tighter the ropes became. Helpless, she could only stall for time, hoping someone would come to her rescue. The man, unable to extract any useful information, was just about to lose his patience and kill her when a hidden weapon flew toward his face. Although he casually dodged it, a bloody mark was left on his face. Out of the darkness, the scarred figure of Li Xiaoyang appeared, sword in hand. She was covered in wounds from her earlier battle with the beasts. If you want to keep your corpse intact, release her. As expected of a new leader of Black Feather Stronghold, you got rid of those beasts quickly. It seems this woman is very important to you. It's a pity this little liar has been feigning illness to deceive you. You probably didn't know, did you? Li Xiaoyang had no plan, but felt a slight pang of disappointment. The man playfully touched Xiao Wan's hair. If it weren't for her helping me lure you out, my plan today might not have succeeded. Watching his wandering hands, Li Xiaoyang couldn't help but shift her stance. But before she could act, Xiao Wan, with lightning speed, bit the man's finger. The man yelled in pain and instinctively flung Xiao Wan up into the branches of the tree. Li Xiaoyang seized the opportunity to attack. The two clashed head-on. Their fight moved from the ground to the trees. Even though Li Xiaoyang was seriously injured, the enemy gradually began to lose ground. Seeing that he was outmatched, the villain quickly retreated, jumping down from the tree. As he did, he cut the rope holding Xiao Wan. He then fled into the forest and disappeared. Xiao Wan screamed, falling headfirst towards the ground. Facing death, she had only one thought: I'm done for. This is it. Now, she not only knows I fake being sick to trick her, but she probably suspects I'm in cahoots with that villain. But in her despair, Li Xiaoyang's figure suddenly appeared below. Her gaze firm, she reached out towards Xiao Wan. Do you have such a loyal best friend? Upon learning that someone harmed you, she abandoned her own husband to avenge you. Not only did she beat up the person who harmed you, she even wanted to wipe out their entire family. But she didn't expect to have trusted the wrong person. On the night of the operation, she was betrayed and framed by Magistrate Song. Even though her martial arts skills were exceptional, she was still injured by arrows. She was taken back to prison and tied up, and the supposedly righteous Magistrate Song finally revealed his true colors. It turned out he had long recognized Su Su as the 14th princess. He threatened Su Su, saying, if she refused to falsely testify against the 4th prince and the Shun family, claiming they were plotting rebellion, he would take her life. Su Su let out a scornful laugh. Fortunately, Baiju had secretly infiltrated the prison. Otherwise, she would truly have been driven to a desperate situation by this treacherous scoundrel. Baiju not only told her that her best friend, Xiao Wan, was still alive, but he also left her a dagger before leaving. Su Su suddenly broke free from the ropes and pulled out the dagger, aiming it at Magistrate Song's neck. "Order your men to stand down and let me out, or I'll slit your throat." Just then, a scream came from outside. A dark figure burst into the prison, slaying everyone in their path. As he approached, everyone recognized the killer as the supposedly frail and sickly 14th prince. Seeing him, Su Su froze. A sharp pain stabbed through her heart. Magistrate Song, taking advantage of her momentary lapse, snatched the dagger and thrust it towards Su Su's chest. It was too late to dodge. Just as the dagger was about to pierce her heart, the man suddenly felt a sharp pain in his chest. The 14th prince coldly withdrew his gaze. Magistrate Song met his end then and there. Su Su just stared at the man before her, speechless for a long time. It turned out she had been misunderstanding him all along. The 14th prince approached, but Su Su lowered her head, lacking the courage to meet his gaze. Seeing the wound on Su Su's leg, Bai Mengji frowned and took out some bandages. He unexpectedly squatted down and personally bandaged her wound. Su Su looked down in surprise, reaching out to stop him by placing a hand on his shoulder. But the man caught her hand, preventing her from touching him. Su Su, moved to tears, allowed him to continue. She let the man remove her shoes and socks and gently bandage her wound. Such intimate contact made her blush slightly. Having finished bandaging the wound, the man stood up and, without a word, swept Su Su up into his arms. Bai Mengji, in full view of the soldiers, carried his wife out of the prison and headed home. In contrast to Su Su's happiness, her best friend, Xiao Wan, was facing a dilemma on the other side. They were sworn enemies, always bickering whenever they met. But when the girl was in danger, the boy disregarded his own safety. Even if he ended up covered in wounds, he would protect her because only he was allowed to bully his silly girl. No one else was allowed to. But when the girl awoke from her unconscious state, the boy was nowhere to be seen, leaving only a dim-witted subordinate to relay the message. The boss said you can go. There are some brothers heading down the mountains soon. They can take you with them. Xiao Wan immediately brightened up. The big demon isn't angry that I tricked him. He's really letting me go. Of course, our boss's word is his bond. Hearing this, Xiao Wan hesitated. Yesterday, he had been covered in wounds from fighting those crazed beasts. In the end, he even became a human cushion to save her. Xiao Wan felt a pang of guilt and said she wanted to see him before leaving, to say goodbye. But the dim-witted subordinate refused. The boss said you're too much trouble and doesn't want to see you again. Xiao Wan felt a hollowness in her heart, a sense of unease. These past few days, all she had dreamed of was escaping the big demon's clutches. But now that she was truly leaving Black Jade Fortress, she couldn't bring herself to be happy. Does he hate me that much? He won't even see me one last time? No, wait. I should be happy to go back to Su Su. Xiao Wan, pouting, climbed into the carriage. She still felt unwilling, no matter how she thought about it. She peeked out through the carriage curtains, looking back. The entrance to the fortress was empty. The carriage gradually moved further away. Li Xiaoyang still hadn't appeared. Clutching his wounds, he hid in a corner, silently seeing her off. Last night, the silly girl had a fever and was unconscious. He had wanted to comfort her by stroking her head, but he heard Xiao Wan calling out Su Su's name in her delirium. So, he slowly withdrew his hand. Is that Su person your sweetheart? You wanted to escape so badly to see your sweetheart, right? That's why he was silently seeing her off today. Since she had someone she liked, he could only let her go. Just as he was feeling down, the dim-witted subordinate suddenly appeared before him. His dejection instantly turned to surprise. The subordinate presented Xiao Wan's jade pendant, explaining that he had borrowed it when she was being kidnapped yesterday. It might be a clue. He hoped Li Xiaoyang could investigate the mastermind behind it all as a way of repaying his life-saving grace. Li Xiaoyang looked at the pendant, his expression turning serious. It seemed that the person who wanted to harm Black Jade Fortress was connected to the imperial court. Li Xiaoyang immediately decided to go down the mountain to investigate the truth behind the matter. He never expected to run into Xiao Wan again. But this silly girl had already found a new sweetheart so quickly. Well, the first time they met, they fought. The second time they met, she went straight for his belt. Although they bickered every time they met, he missed her terribly when they were apart. They had just parted ways yesterday. And today, the man eagerly followed her down the mountain. Not only that, he even stayed at the same inn. and even secretly stayed across from her. But he discovered that the heartless woman had actually booked a room with another man. The thought of them possibly sleeping together made Li Xiaoyang furious. He kicked away his gossiping subordinate and prepared to go to their room and rough up that pretty boy. Xiaowan was still unaware of the impending chaos. Having just come down the mountain, she went straight to the prince's manor to find Su Su, only to discover it was heavily surrounded by soldiers. Xiaowan was just about to go forward when Baiju stopped her. The two had met at Black Jade Fortress, and Baiju had even helped her send letters to Su Su to assure her of her safety. He told Xiaowan that rumors were circulating that the 14th prince and his princess were plotting rebellion, which was why they were now under house arrest in the manor. Xiaowan, of course, didn't believe Su Su would rebel, so the two temporarily stayed at an inn, planning their next move. They discussed how to meet with Su Su. After their discussion, they each returned to their rooms to rest. Li Xiaoyang, having found no one at the door, didn't go in to disturb Xiaowan. Just then, Xiaowan suddenly heard a noise outside the window. She got up to investigate, but when she opened the window, she saw nothing. She wondered if she had misheard. Just as she was about to close the window, a figure suddenly burst through it. Immediately after, a drooling monster tried to force its way in. In her panic, Xiaowan grabbed a nearby chair and was about to swing it. But in the next second, the monster vanished before her eyes. Xiaowan froze. Had she scared it off? She didn't know that Li Xiaoyang had lured it away. The man had been protecting her in secret. A Taekwondo girl transmigrated one day and became the sickly prince's runaway princess. The Kung Fu girl met the sickly prince, and the two began a sweet chase-and-fight romance. However, one day, the supposedly frail and helpless prince transformed into a deadly warrior when his princess was in danger. Taking down enemies one by one, he successfully rescued his wife. Then, with a dashing bridal carry, he carried his wife back to the manor in full view of everyone. While tending to the man's wounds, Su Su learned that his years of frail appearance had all been a pretense. Because the current emperor was incompetent, the court was controlled by his cruel third brother. He had to hide his strength to survive. Su Su touched the scars on the man's back. He had endured so much hardship all these years, and now, to save her, he had revealed his strength prematurely. She thought that the cruel third prince would soon take action against him. Su Su felt both moved and guilty. Bai Mu comforted Su Su, saying that he and the third prince were bound to clash eventually. Now, it had simply happened sooner, because his most beloved sixth brother had died at the hands of the third prince. 3 years ago, his sixth brother had been framed for rebellion by the third prince. Bai Mu was the one ordered to eliminate the traitors at the sixth prince's manor. He desperately wanted to take the sixth prince and escape, but the sixth prince pushed him away. Then, grabbing Bai Mu's wrist, he used his younger brother's sword to impale himself, because only if Bai Mu personally killed him would the third prince lower his guard and spare Bai Mu's life. And the person the sixth prince worried about most before his death was his wife, the sixth princess. She was the person in the portrait that had caused Su Su's misunderstanding. Su Su finally realized she wasn't anyone's replacement. The knot in her heart finally untied. She let down her guard and fully accepted the man, embracing him tenderly. However, after many days of hardship, coupled with the ordeal of imprisonment, now that she could finally relax, Su Su couldn't help but fall into a deep sleep in the man's arms. Bai Mu kissed her forehead and gently placed her on the bed. He stood by the bed and watched her fall asleep. It was the girl's first day after traveling to ancient times, and she'd already provoked a hot-tempered bandit leader. From then on, they became a bickering couple. Their hilarious chases and playful banter unfolded, and they were drawn to each other through their constant bickering. Right before confession, a rival suddenly appeared. Seeing the two of them not only shopping together, but also acting intimately, Li Xiaoyang, who was secretly following them, could only seethe with jealousy. Just then, Xiaowan seemed to sense something and suddenly looked back, but she didn't find anything. Bai Ju asked her what was wrong. Xiaowan replied hesitantly, "Nothing. It's just that I feel like I'm being watched by a big dog." The big dog in the corner was so angry he nearly exploded. His two subordinates trembled in fear, not daring to make a sound. Xiaowan and Bai Ju planned to disguise themselves and infiltrate the prince's manor. So the two went to Chodun Manor again. The dim-witted subordinate gossiped boldly. Could it be that this girl is going to choose her wedding dress? Li Xiaoyang muttered to himself, "Go where?" but still stubbornly retorted, "What a joke. Only a fool would marry that girl." Just then, Xiaowan looked back again. Li Xiaoyang couldn't dodge in time, so he pulled a piece of cloth over himself and his subordinate. He ended up in a close embrace with his subordinate. The people around them, seeing the two men hugging, commented, "What a disgrace! How scandalous!" Xiao Wan and Bai Ju gave up their plan and turned to leave, leaving the two men retching uncontrollably. The two went to a noodle shop. Bai Ju suddenly felt something in his eye. Xiao Wan caught his hand as he rubbed his eye and moved closer to help him look. This scene, in the eyes of the two bandits, was quite something. The boss is going to kiss. They're going to kiss. Li Xiaoyang went even further, picking up a shard. With a shio sound, he hit Bai Ju on the forehead. Bai Ju's head landed directly in his bowl of noodles. Xiao Wan angrily shouted, "Who's there?" Li Xiaoyang pushed his subordinate in front of him. The subordinate then pushed a milk cow in front of him. Xiao Wan grabbed Bai Ju and stormed off. The three bandits quietly followed behind. But as soon as they turned the corner, the three of them froze. Da-da-oh. Busted. They were a bickering couple. Yet, through their constant bickering, they were drawn to each other. And at this very moment, a rival appeared. Li Xiaoyang's stalking attempt failed, and he was caught. Oh, what a coincidence. Xiao Wan took a step forward, and Li Xiaoyang took a step back. He kept retreating until he was almost cornered. He stopped and said angrily, "Hey, don't think I followed you down the mountain. I came down to investigate some serious business and just happened to be passing by. Don't believe me? Ask him." The dim-witted subordinate haughtily turned his head and remained silent. Li Xiaoyang cursed him under his breath. "Traitor!" Xiao Wan said triumphantly, "Big bad bandit, I didn't say you were following me the whole time. Aren't you giving yourself away?" The man turned his head away, stubbornly refusing to admit it. The smart subordinate hurriedly added, that's right. We didn't follow you to the inn either." Xiao Wan was almost exasperated. "Oh, so you followed me and stayed at the same inn?" Li Xiaoyang's fist clenched as he glared at his dim-witted subordinate, saying what shouldn't be said and not saying what should be said. Then his gaze swept over to Bai Ju. "Bunhead, so you like this kind of pretty boy, huh? Never would have guessed." Xiao Wan and Bai Ju both froze. Then Xiao Wan suddenly started laughing and whispered something in Bai Ju's ear. Li Xiaoyang watched them, bewildered. Then, under the watchful eyes of the three bandits, Bai Ju tore off his fake beard and let his hair down. The subordinates finally recognized him as the woman who had escaped from the bandit camp. After a moment of awkward silence, the bystanders tactfully excused themselves, leaving the two alone. Before leaving, the dim-witted subordinate gave his boss a helpful shove. "Boss, I can only help you this much." Li Xiaoyang blushed. Xiao Wan's heart pounded. Could it be that these two were finally going to confess their feelings for each other? On the surface, she's an arrogant and domineering bandit leader, but inside, she's a pure and innocent lamb, often flustered and her heart racing from being flirted with, now spurred on by a rival in love. She's finally about to confess to her beloved. Her heart pounded, but she was interrupted by the oblivious Xiao Wan. She took out a dart and grabbed Bai Mu's hand, placing it in his palm. It turned out she had discovered that Bai Mu was secretly protecting her. Last night, it was him who led the bad guys away. Xiao Wan sincerely apologized and turned to leave, but Bai Mu grabbed her hand. Blushing, he struggled for a long time. But the words of confession wouldn't come out. Remembering the person who attacked Xiao Wan last night, he seriously warned Xiao Wan not to wander around recently. Many crazed people had appeared in the mountain stronghold and the city, and it might be related to the imperial court. But Xiao Wan said that even if it was dangerous, she had to go find Su.Li Xiaoyang. "Do you really like that person that much?" Xiao Wan replied innocently, "Of course. I haven't seen my uncle for a long time. He must miss me too." Li Xiaoyang's mood darkened. Then he heard Xiao Wan muttering, "So unlucky. Ever since I became the 14th prince's wife 10 times. Li Xiaoyang couldn't hear the rest. His mind was filled with images of hairy legs, sweat, and the beastly image of the zooming prince. After shaking off the garbage from his mind, Li Xiaoyang seriously asked, "The Su you want to save is also a woman?" Xiao Wan didn't understand where the word wild came from, but didn't stop her from gaining an ally. So the three of them disguised themselves as workers and infiltrated the neighboring estate next to the 14th prince's manor. They planned to climb over the wall from the Lin estate and sneak into the manor. Of the three, only Xiao Wan couldn't do martial arts and couldn't climb over. Li Xiaoyang expertly picked her up horizontally. After all, he had kissed her and carried her on his shoulder before, and he had also held her. His movements were naturally quite skilled. He nimbly and easily jumped over the wall. As soon as the three entered the manor, they heard footsteps coming from the right. Li Xiaoyang immediately pulled Xiao Wan into a corner to eavesdrop. Two guards were discussing Su Su, this 14th princess, such a delicate beauty. Now, she has to suffer this kind of torture. Learning that her best friend was in danger, Xiao Wan was extremely anxious. How would they rescue Su Su? She is the aloof and highly skilled princess consort. He is the handsome and scheming prince. Just last night, the two finally cleared up their misunderstandings and were lovingly affectionate. But when they woke up in the morning, an imperial edict separated them. The young couple bid each other a sweet farewell. Bai Ju realized the impending danger. Upon entering the palace, Bai Mu discovered that this was a conspiracy. The third prince kept him in the palace, while on the other hand, he sent people to forcibly capture the princess consort and tie her to a water wheel to torture her. They forced Su Su to confess that the 14th prince's manor was plotting rebellion. When Xiao Wan and the others found Su Su, she was already trembling all over from being tortured. Xiao Wan posed as a maid serving food, and Li Xiaoyang posed as an officer guarding her. The two first used food to distract the guards. While they were eating, they went to Su Su and woke her. Su Su opened her eyes and saw her best friend, overjoyed. But the next second, she noticed the realistic scars on her face and was heartbroken, almost crying. Xiao Wan quietly wiped off a piece of the disguise, signaling her not to worry. Then, after exchanging a look with Li Xiaoyang, she started to put on a loud performance, pretending to persuade the princess consort to abandon darkness and embrace the light, and agree to the officer's demands. Su Su caught Li Xiaoyang's concerned look when he glanced at her best friend, and immediately understood their relationship. She couldn't help but lower her head and smile with relief. Seeing that the soldiers weren't looking, Xiao Wan whispered, "Su Su, I've drugged their food. We can't worry about that much. Come with me." But Su Su refused. She told Xiao Wan not to worry and to go to the rockery behind the manor to wait for her. Before Xiao Wan could understand what she meant, she heard Su Su yell at her to get lost. The soldiers eating heard Xiangdong's loud scolding. They're given a chance to live, and they don't appreciate it. Drag that little girl away. No need to persuade her. Li Xiaoyang sensed something was wrong. He stepped forward and pulled away Xiao Wan, who was still stunned. The soldiers continued to turn the water wheel to torture Su Su. Seeing her good friend suffering, Xiao Wan turned to go back and save her. But Li Xiaoyang held her tightly. Don't be impulsive. He seemed to have another plan. Xiao Wan took one last look at Su Su, just in time to meet her gaze. Su Su mouthed two words, "Wait for me." Xiao Wan finally understood her friend's meaning. So the two went behind the rockery in the prince's manor. But after waiting a long time, Su Su still didn't appear. The two friends had traveled to ancient times together, each experiencing numerous hardships. Now, they were finally reunited. Su Su leaped out of the water. Xiao Wan tearfully stepped forward and pulled her ashore. The two friends wept with joy, embracing tightly. Xiao Wan asked Su Su how she had escaped. Su Su recalled the scene from that morning, before Bai Muji entered the palace. He had a premonition that his third brother would take action, so he left in Wei, who would help him escape at a critical moment. He also instructed him not to return after escaping, saying that he had a way to protect himself. Finally, he leaned down and whispered in his ear, "I know you're not Tang Su Su. Can you tell me your real name?" The man entered the palace without getting an answer. At this point, Xiao Wan finally understood the whole story. She immediately grabbed Su Su and was about to leave the prince's manor. However, Su Su didn't move. Xiao Wan looked back. "Wanzi, I can't leave." Xiao Wan didn't understand why, and before she could ask, Su Su looked at Li Xiaoyang and asked, "If Wanzi were in danger, would you abandon him and escape yourself?" Li Xiaoyang looked at the silly girl and firmly answered no. Su Su then looked at her friend and asked, "Wanzi, what about you? Would you abandon him?" Xiao Wan remained silent. Su Su took both their hands and placed them together. "I think my answer is the same as yours. You advised me to understand my own feelings. But now why are you confused yourself?" Just then, Su Su received news that Consort Jia had been exposed. The third prince seized the opportunity to accuse Bai Muji and demand his immediate execution. No wonder he wanted her to leave. He had anticipated his own fate. Su would never run away alone and leave him to die. So, she tearfully bid farewell to her friend. Wanzi, you must take care of yourself. Then she pushed her into Li Xiaoyang's arms. Swim north along the bottom of the pond. That way you can escape the manor. She then resolutely turned to find Bai Muji. Xiaowan cried and tried to hold Su back, but Li Xiaoyang held her tightly. The cunning prince loved his wife deeply, willing to risk his life to protect her escape. By now, the substitute princess had been exposed. The third prince seized the opportunity to attack the 14th prince, Bai Muji, demanding he be immediately imprisoned. Bai Muji sneered at I'm afraid. Third brother, you won't live to see it. Before the third prince could understand his words, a guard reported that a large number of court officials had accused him of framing his brother, colluding with rebels, and attempting to usurp the throne. The third prince was shocked. He hadn't expected to be defeated by his insignificant 14th brother. Now that all was lost, he decided to go down fighting. He would take someone down with him. He ordered his elite troops to kill Bai Muji immediately. Dozens of men approached menacingly. Bai Muji was unarmed, prepared to fight them barehanded. Just then, a shout came from ahead. A woman in black stepped on the heads of his enemies and gracefully flew out, landing in front of Bai Muji. It was Su. Unwilling to flee alone, she had returned to face death alongside Bai Muji. Without a word, Su kicked two men over, snatched a sword from one of them, and began a fight. She threw it towards Bai Muji. The man raised his hand and steadily caught it. The husband and wife fought together with perfect teamwork. Bai Muji turned to look at his wife and said helplessly, Su, I should have known you wouldn't listen. Su responded with a smile. Didn't you want to know my name? If we win this fight, I'll tell you. Both of their martial arts skills were already impressive, and with the added bonus of their love-powered teamwork, the enemies were quickly defeated. The third prince, who had been so arrogant just moments before, now only wanted to flee. However, Su noticed him. She immediately chased after him. Bai Muji wanted to stop her, but it was too late. Just as Su was about to catch the third prince, a strange flute sound suddenly rang out. In the next second, the man in front of her suddenly went berserk. He transformed from a handsome villain into a hideous mad dog. Su couldn't dodge in time and was sent flying by a palm strike. Fortunately, Bai Muji caught her just in time. The monster's speed was astonishing. Seeing that its first attack missed, it quickly lunged forward again. Bai Muji picked up an arrow from the ground, prepared to block the attack, but someone else acted first. The monster was struck by a broken wheelchair that flew out of nowhere. Both the man and the chair crashed to the ground. He quickly got back up, completely unharmed. He glared fiercely at the newcomer. Li Xiaoyang rubbed his wrist. What are you looking at? Never seen a handsome guy before. Su and Bai Muji couldn't understand why he was there. The next second, Xiaowan popped out from behind Li Xiaoyang. It turned out the two hadn't run away. Instead, they had gone to gather reinforcements to help them overcome the crisis. The two best friends traveled to ancient times together, and each of them snagged an ancient hottie. The two couples, a powerful combination, wreaked havoc in the ancient world. At this moment, Su and Bai Muji were being attacked by the crazed third prince. At the critical juncture, best friends Xiao Wan and Li Xiaoyang arrived just in time. They also brought helpers. Together, they used an iron chain to restrain the madman's neck. However, they didn't expect the iron chain to be snapped by the enraged madman. Just then, Bai Muji stepped forward and joined the battle. He kicked the third prince in midair, then grabbed the other end of the chain. The two men exchanged glances and immediately understood each other's intentions. Manipulating the chain, they quickly bound the madman tightly. Finally, with a powerful kick, the madman was subdued and collapsed on the ground, unable to struggle. Li Xiaoyang just breathed a sigh of relief, but in the next second, his dim-witted subordinate came charging towards them with a huge rock, eyes closed, yelling, "Boss, watch out." Li Xiaoyang and Bai Muji were stunned. Just as they were about to be crushed, the dimwit tripped on a rock. The boulder flew out of his hands, passing between Li Xiaoyang and Bai Muji's heads. The dimwit, however, landed face first. He happened to fall right in front of the madman. The madman smelled the scent of a human and suddenly lunged at him, roaring. The dimwit panicked and reached out to defend himself, accidentally sticking his finger into the madman's nostril. Strangely, the madman instantly quieted down. Li Xiaoyang suddenly realized something. It turned out the madman was blind and relied entirely on his sense of smell to attack. So, everyone worked together to cover his nose. The madman crisis was resolved. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Only the dim-witted subordinate was left whimpering and clutching his finger, saying he was dirty. The two friends finally had a chance to talk properly. Su Su asked Xiao Wan why she hadn't left. Coming back was too risky. Xiao Wan gave a mischievous smile. It turned out that after Su Su left, Li Xiaoyang, ignoring Xiao Wan's struggles, dragged her into the lake, intending to leave the manor. He even gave her mouth-to-mouth resuscitation along the way. But Xiao Wan mercilessly pushed Li Xiaoyang away. Then she walked towards the shore, muttering, "Handsome tricks won't work on me. I'm going to find Su Su." Li Xiaoyang chased after her and pulled her back. Xiao Wan thought he disagreed and started talking about how loyal she was to Su Su, her best friend, and how she couldn't be cowardly, and so on. Unexpectedly, Li Xiaoyang hadn't intended to dissuade her at all. Instead, he swept her up in his arms. "This is faster." Su Su was deeply moved after hearing this and choked back tears. Xiao Wan dramatically threw her arms around Su Su's arm. "Oh, what's there to cry about? Anyway, I'm stuck with you now. You can't get rid of me." Su Su glanced at the ledge beside her and joked about Xiao Wan relying on her. That someone would be jealous. The two new couples blushed. The two couples formally met and got to know each other. Both Li Xiaoyang and Bai Muji had been attacked by the madman, so they decided to team up to find the truth. The two best friends traveled to ancient times together. Each gained an ancient boyfriend. The two couples joined forces. Together, they ventured on quests and investigated the case. They discovered that every time the madman appeared, he was controlled by a strange flute melody. After tracking the flutist who had just controlled the third prince, they discovered the mastermind's base. It was unexpectedly the same pleasure house that Xiao Wan had managed before. Learning that they would hold an underground auction that night, the two men decided to infiltrate it to investigate. Su Su and Xiao Wan didn't want to be left behind, so they secretly followed, hoping to sneak in. Unsurprisingly, the men quickly discovered them. Bai Muji looked at his wife indulgently. He had already guessed Su Su would follow. Seeing that Su Su was allowed to go, Xiao Wan immediately pestered Li Xiaoyang, acting cute and coquettish. Sighing, he agreed. Overjoyed, Xiao Wan gave him a quick kiss. Li Xiaoyang blushed, nearly tripping over his own feet as they walked. Although they successfully entered the pleasure house, they were immediately separated upon entering. The receptionist had already discerned Xiao Wan and Su Su's female identities. Using an excuse, they locked the two women up separately. Then they blindfolded Bai Muji and Li Xiaoyang and led only the two men to the auction. Upon reaching the auction location, they were finally allowed to remove their blindfolds. The two looked around, quickly realizing their wives weren't there. Fortunately, Li Xiaoyang could still sense Xiao Wan's presence nearby through her spiritual energy. So, suppressing their worry, they took their seats. Those attending the auction were all men of high status. Looking at the treasures being auctioned on stage by Muji, guessed that since only men were allowed in, the main attraction must be something illicit. So, what do men, especially idle rich men like most? Li Xiaoyang, a country boy, admitted he didn't know. Bai Muji had to answer his own question. Beautiful women. Beauties worth a king's ransom. And to qualify to participate in the auction of beauties, we must appear extravagant. Li Xiaoyang imagined the scene of his beloved being auctioned and immediately felt uneasy, but he remained calm on the surface. At that moment, a large luminous pearl was being displayed on stage. Seeing his composure, Bai Muji praised him, saying, "You're more composed than I expected." But the next second, as the bidding began and Bai Muji was about to raise his paddle, Li Xiaoyang eagerly raised his hand and shouted, "We want it!" Bai Muji thought to himself, "I misjudged him." The first round of the auction ended. The two were confident they would be kept for the next round, but the madam startled them. They were dumbfounded. Bai Muji tried to argue, but the madam just looked him up and down. The hot-tempered Li Xiaoyang couldn't help but snap. "What are you looking at?" The madam smiled seductively and said, since the two of you are so in love, and this gentleman just spent a fortune to make his beloved smile, I assume you're not interested in the next round of bidding." The two men's faces darkened, especially Li Xiaoyang. To think that he, the young master of the Black Feather Stronghold, was mistaken for a lovesick fool. Knowing the important matter at hand, he suppressed his urge to kill and explained to the madam. Finally, they successfully entered the final round of bidding. A blind draw for wives. Whoever you draw is yours. A group of veiled women stood before the gentleman. Sold as seen. Even if the person behind the mask was a toe-picking brute, you had to marry her. The men were captivated by the women's graceful figures. Only Bai Muji remained unmoved. He closed his eyes, trying to sense his wife's location. Li Xiaoyang, on the other hand, had it much easier. He gently shook the bell. Immediately sensing the location on the other end, he leaped into the air. He was the first to fly onto the stage. Seeing him, the dancers all crowded around, vying for his attention, practically begging to be chosen. But the straightforward Li Xiaoyang simply used the beauties as stepping stones, heartlessly treading on them as he headed straight for his target. Then, with a flick of a dart, he cut a rope, catching the falling dancer securely in his arms. The mask was removed. It was Chao Wan as expected. Meanwhile, Bai Muji had also easily found his wife. Unmasking her, the two exchanged smiles and then flew off the stage together. As they passed a lampstand, Bai Muji deliberately kicked it over. The fire quickly spread throughout the venue. The auction was thus set ablaze. The two couples landed gently at the exit. Just then, Chaoan spotted the madam escaping through a side door. They quickly followed. Upon reaching a dungeon, they suddenly sensed something was wrong. In the next second, the dungeon entrance was abruptly blocked by an iron gate. The madam then slowly emerged from the other side of the gate, revealing a triumphant smile at the trapped foursome. She had captured several important people alive. Taking them to the prince to claim credit would surely earn her favor. With that, she turned to leave through a secret passage. Li Xiaoyang threw a flying knife, accurately blocking her path. The knife sliced across her face. Before she could curse, her ankle was ensnared. Bai Muji yanked back, forcibly dragging her down the stairs backwards. Now the five were at a standstill. No one could escape, but the fire in the auction hall above was rapidly spreading downwards. The madam had no choice but to give in. She told them how to open the iron gate. Apparently, the third bar from the left was the gate's weak point. Without hesitation, Li Xiaoyang kicked it. Unexpectedly, the entire gate broke apart. The madam seized the opportunity to flee. Bai Muji delivered another kick, knocking her unconscious. Just as they were about to leave, the dungeon began to collapse. They had fallen for the madam's trap again. That method of opening the gate had triggered a self-destruct mechanism, intending to bury them all alive. As the ground started to crumble, Su anxiously exclaimed, "There's no time to lose. We must." Before she could finish, Bai Muji knocked her unconscious. Seeing this, Chaoan immediately panicked. Just as she was about to intervene and retrieve Su, Li Xiaoyang knocked her unconscious as well. The two men each scooped up their wives, exchanging a nod. They first escaped the collapsing dungeon with the utmost speed. After settling their wives in a safe place, they resolutely turned back and re-entered the perilous dungeon. Both believed a terrible truth lay hidden within. Two best friends traveled to ancient times together, each finding sweet love. But now, both women were knocked unconscious by their own husbands, who couldn't bear to see them get hurt, choosing to face the danger themselves. When the friends awoke, they were back at the inn, with only Baiju present. They learned their husbands had gone to destroy the madman's lair. The two were instantly alarmed. Just then, a guard excitedly reported from outside. "General, they've returned." Both women looked expectantly towards the door. Bai Muji strode into the room. Su excitedly called out Muji and quickly got out of bed to greet him. Bai Muji reached out and embraced her. They held each other tightly, celebrating their reunion after surviving the ordeal. Seeing this, Chaoan quickly asked another person about Li Xiaoyang's whereabouts. Before receiving an answer, Li Xiaoyang's dim-witted subordinate walked in, weeping, carrying a bloody corpse on his back. Chaoan's face drained of color as she stared at the scene in disbelief. She then rushed towards the body, crying out, "Li Xiaoyang, you idiot!" She pounded on the corpse, sobbing uncontrollably. "You idiot! You big dummy! If you couldn't win, you should have run. Why did you try to be a hero? I finally had a boyfriend. Before she could finish speaking, a familiar voice came from the doorway. Hey, what are you doing? Li Xiaoyang, completely unharmed, walked into the room holding a candied hawthorn stick. Xiaowan looked at the place where the body had been, dumbfounded. Then she heard the dimwit complaining, why did I have to carry that guy's body? She felt both angry and relieved, but also joyful. Stupidly Xiaoyang, jerkly Xiaoyang, why didn't you come back earlier instead of getting candied hawthorns? Li Xiaoyang replied haughtily, well, I was afraid you'd be hungry when you woke up, so I brought you this. Xiao Wan, channeling her frustration into strength, chased after him, hitting him. You're lying. Stop right there. The onlookers laughed, watching the bickering couple. That night, Su Su had just finished applying medicine to Bai Muji's wounds. When Bai Muji teased her, just now, Miss Xiao was chasing young Masterly, try to hit him. I'm curious, would you do the same? Su Su glanced back at him. Then she replied, you left me alone to reflect at a critical moment. Do you think I don't want to hit you? But I never thought that the dignified 14th prince would have such a hobby. Turns out you're a voyeur. Bai Muji asked seriously, voyeur? Is that a word from your homeland? Your hometown must be a fascinating place. Su Su didn't answer. Instead, she lifted his chin with her finger. Bai Muji gasped in surprise. Su Su, channeling her modern, assertive self, flirted with her man without hesitation, burying her anger. I like you calling me Su Su. Then she initiated a kiss. Thank goodness you came back safely. He wrapped his arms around her hair, pulling her into an embrace. Su Su, from now on, wherever you go, I go. Inside the room, the certified power couple continued their affections. Since we can't watch them anymore, we'll just have to look at the roof. Meanwhile, Li Xiaoyang took Xiao Wan up to the roof for some romance. But this clueless girl kept asking him how they destroyed the villain's lair. After impatiently answering a couple of questions, Li Xiaoyang finally couldn't resist taking action. How long are you going to ask these irrelevant questions? Xiao Wan, blushing, pulled his collar and kissed him. Is this relevant enough? Blushing, he deepened the kiss. This doesn't seem quite enough. Just as their passion was about to escalate, a glamorous woman suddenly appeared, interrupting them. Oh, you guys want to guess who this Z Mao is? You've heard of people time traveling, but have you ever heard of a man time traveling and becoming a woman? After his 88th heartbreak, the man was drinking sadly on a cliff edge when he accidentally fell. Two of his female friends passing by tried to save him, but he pulled them down with him. The three of them happened to encounter a once-in-a-century meteor shower and traveled together to ancient times. The two friends remained beautiful young women after time traveling, but he actually became a woman too, and the courtesan of Baiwa House. When Su Su and Xiao Wan learned that he was the Z Mao responsible for their time travel, they beat him up to vent their anger before bringing him inside to explain himself. Looking at the bruised and swollen Z Mao, the two ancient husbands thought, wow, our wives are so fierce. We definitely shouldn't make them angry in the future. After listening to the three modern people's story, Li Xiaoyang and Bai Muji learned that they came from a world 100 years in the future. It took a while for the two men to finally accept this fact. Just then, Zimao suddenly said, it's a good thing I recognized you at the end today. Otherwise, you would have missed your chance to return to the modern world. Su Su asked in shock, you know how to go back? Zimao explained, midnight tonight at Qingyun Cliff is the only time you can return. I read a report in the modern world that said a massive meteor shower also occurred 100 years ago, and the location of Qingyun Cliff corresponds exactly to where we time traveled from. Night fell quickly, and they arrived at Qingyun Cliff, but Bai Muji was missing. Seeing that midnight was approaching, Xiao Wan comforted the dejected Su Su. Don't worry. The 14th prince will definitely come after he's taken care of things at the manor. He must be on his way. Su Su couldn't hide her disappointment. Maybe not showing up is his way of rejecting me. Just then, the sound of galloping hooves approached. Su Su looked up in surprise and saw Bai Muji dismount his horse. Su Su rushed into his arms. Bai Muji softly explained his arrangements. I've instructed my steward to dismiss the 14th prince's manor. There is no longer a 14th prince Bai Muji in this world. Touched, Su Su looked up and asked, won't you regret it? Bai Muji smiled and shook his head. I've long been tired of the burdens and deceptions that come with this title. My only regret is meeting you too late. Now it's my turn to go to your world, understand your life, and accompany you through the rest of your journey. Elsewhere, Li Xiaoyang took Xiao Wan's hand and said, there's still some savings in the Black Feather Stronghold. I've told the dimwit to distribute them among the brothers. They deserve better choices than being bandits. so I'll go with you too. Xiaowan, touched, squeezed his hand back. Just then, news arrived from the mountain stronghold via Exine Ge. After reading the message, he clenched his fists in anger. The message said that the previously captured madman had suddenly had an episode, bitten the guarding soldiers, and escaped towards the black and white stronghold. Torn between his brothers and his lover, how could he choose? Just then, a meteor flashed across the sky. Zimao excitedly shouted, "The meteor shower is coming." Li Xiaoyang turned Xiaowan's shoulder. "I can't just leave and abandon the lives of hundreds of my brothers." Xiaowan asked tearfully, "Great Demon King, can we meet again?" Li Xiaoyang leaned in and gave her a tender and lingering kiss on the forehead. Then, with tears in his eyes, he confessed, "I love you." He then pulled away and left. By the time Xiaowan reacted, Li Xiaoyang had already ridden down the mountain. She cried out, wanting to chase after him, but Su Su pulled her back. The meteor shower vortex had appeared. If they didn't go back now, it would be too late. The four of them leaped into the vortex and quickly disappeared. For years passed in a flash. Inside the Pang Clan Martial Arts Center, a handsome, long-haired man in a suit stood in the living room, holding a bouquet of roses. A group of young women, eyes sparkling, asked him if he was an instructor and if he could teach them. Bai Muji replied gently and politely, "You'll have to ask my boss." The fangirls looked at each other, confused. Boss? At the same time, a thief was being beaten down outside the martial arts center. Su Su held up her bell and said, "How dare you try to steal Wanzi's things? Don't you know who her friends are?" The thief at her feet asked fearfully, "Who are you?" Su Su proudly declared, "I'm the owner of this martial arts center, Xing Su." Meanwhile, a similar thief-catching scene was unfolding on a nearby street. A man in gray was walking down the street when someone suddenly shouted, "Stop! You stop right there!" At that moment, the bell on his wrist rang out a pleasant chime. Xiaowan threw her water bottle at the man. "Thief, where do you think you're going?" The man stood still, foolishly taking the hit. Just then, Su Su's phone rang. "Hello? Wanzi, I caught the thief. Where are you?" Xiaowan looked at the man in gray with surprise that I got the wrong person. This man isn't the thief. Then who was he? The man took off his hat and slowly turned around, revealing a handsome face. Su Su froze in shock, staring at him in disbelief. Li Xiaoyang, in his usual arrogant young master tone, said, "Hey, you seem to have mistaken me for someone else again." Xiaowan finally realized she wasn't dreaming. She cried out, "Great Demon King." Then she threw herself into Li Xiaoyang's arms. The two couples were finally reunited in the modern world. And so, with 8 teeth, we have a happy ending. Follow Pao Jiao for more great comics.